Okay, so in today's video we're going to take a look at a new pistol that we've acquired. So this is the Beretta M9A3, and this is the actual same gun, I think, which was already available, which was in a dark earth or tanned colour scheme, but this one is actually all black. So let's have a quick look at the box. You can see here you've obviously got the M9A3 CO2 airgun, blowback, Picatinny rail, steel BBs, and an 18 round magazine. And again, I mentioned obviously this one has been out already. It's not new, but it's obviously this one is the kind of all metal black version. So I thought we'd have a quick look at this. So here's the actual pistol itself. So just to obviously make sure it's safe, all clear, no magazine, no round in the chamber. So basically, they've obviously released this as an all black version, which obviously a lot of collectors and people that prefer kind of almost that colour scheme as opposed to the tanned version or the dark earth version. Here she is. So essentially we've got the mod M9A3 caliber 9mm para here on the side, which obviously is in reference to the actual proper caliber of the actual military handgun, which was put towards the trials, I think. And this one didn't actually win. I think the SIG M17, if I got that right, I think that was the winner. The US military adopted as their next sidearm for the armed forces. And this particular one obviously is it has that reference there, I think, as a sort of kind of a nod to the authenticity of obviously this particular air pistol. On the other side you've got obviously the Beretta USA Corp description here, but you've also got the correct caliber. So you've got the 4.5, as you can see here, showing the correct caliber of this pistol. So yeah, so first obviously overall impressions, pretty good. You've obviously got the kind of non-glossy black finish. It does have a thread protector here, which is obviously you can use to put on any muzzle device or suppressor or whatever your preferences would be, but that's quite a nice feature. The only downside to it is this thread protector is like a little plastic thing. It'd be nice if it was metal to kind of go with your metal, but that's just a very minor sort of nitpicking point there. Okay, so essentially, yeah, I mean, it obviously acts and sort of performs very similar to the actual 92A1. So obviously bring that in a second here. So this is the other pistol I have, which is the kind of more of a glossy black finish, but this is the mod M92A1, which you've seen in previous videos, but I'll put a link in this video to that, so you can take a look at that one. But again, still the same sort of like all metal construction, blowback, everything else, but obviously we've now got it in a kind of military flat black sort of version for the new M9A3. Okay, so a quick walk around then. So you've obviously got the Picatinny rail here. You've got your standard ambidextrous safety feature here. So that's the same. The sights are slightly different. So you have these nice kind of wide sights with the very clear dots here, so you can see. So that's pretty good. Same sort of decocking capability here. The only thing this doesn't have is that if you do cock it, you can't decock it with the safety. That just enables, there is no auto decocker on the sort of safety, so that's slightly different from the A1, but that being said, no big deal there. So the grips are slightly thinner, so you've got this checkering on the rear, stippling and sort of checkering on the side, and some slight checkering here at the front. So good feel to it. It's not quite as wide as the A1, but it certainly feels pretty good still. Good size, fits very comfortably. No problems there. Anyone with sort of medium to big size hands would find it so comfortable. The weight of it is roughly the same as the A1, so still authentic weight. Still feels like the real steel proper version. In terms of the magazine, so obviously you've got your normal CO2 magazine capability here. The only thing I do, because I run the smokeless range laser targeting, I've removed the spring and the BB follower here, so I don't need that for the kind of last shot holdover, because I typically just fire it obviously empty with the actual slide reciprocation or the hammer for triggering the laser, so I don't actually need any kind of BBs. So ultimately I remove the spring and the follower, and obviously that allows me to not have to deal with the last shot holdover on the slide. So that's the only kind of modification I make. But essentially, these are kind of reasonably heavy or metal construction. They don't have obviously a cover plate here, which you do see on some other Umarex type pistols, such as the Glock, that has that nice little plate that slides over here to sort of just hide this stuff. But yeah, no big deal. I mean, this is sort of exactly the same as the A1, and it's pretty clean. So yeah, so that's pretty much that side of things. And I mean, yeah, it feels quite well. I mean, the magazine, you know, good, nice, solid sort of like feel to that. It's not ambidextrous, but I don't know if you can change that. But it sort of, it sits in there pretty well. You obviously got the ability to be able to obviously lock open the slide, which is the same as the A1. So let's go ahead, and this is fill strippable, so we'll go ahead and see that. So same as the A1, you need to push in this lever here and then slide this cam, and that then allows you to just remove the slide. So you've got your, this is slightly different to what I see in the A1, so they've obviously modified the internals here, but essentially nice and clean, you know. And when it comes to maintenance, you know, you need to make sure that you've got some oil on here, not too much, but just enough to sort of obviously cover the slide reciprocating, so you can, normally under operation you'll be able to see where the rubbing takes place, and that's obviously where you need to apply the kind of gun lubricant to ensure that you don't suffer any probably issues with wear. But yeah, this looks slightly different to what they've had before, so obviously made some changes. In terms of the fill strippability, you can remove the mainspring here, so you literally just pop that out. You need to be careful, it's under quite a lot of tension. So there's your kind of mainspring for the main slide, and that's got various components. As you can see here, you've got one spring, a little kind of almost separator, and a final spring here. This is all metal, and you've got a little section here to obviously lock into place. And then on the slide, again, you can obviously push the barrel forward to disengage it from the main housing there, and again sort of just slide this out. So again, here's your barrel. You have what looks like a adjustment here. I think this is the kind of hopper adjustment for the loading the BBs, and they've changed this now, so this is all one unit. This doesn't seem to, I mean, I'm not sure if you can break this down further if you want to. It looks like it's just all one unit, whereas in the other versions you have the inner barrel, which obviously you can see down in there, but it looks like they've actually made this one unit now. I mean, there is a screw here, so you probably can take it apart if you want to, but it looks like a lot cleaner that they've actually allowed you to take this out without sort of like having the two sections. And then, as you see here, you've got the main part where obviously you've got the kind of piston, or the main, not piston, but the chamber where obviously the gas will go through, which obviously allows you to take the shot. So yeah, it's pretty clean. I mean, again, all metal here. This I think this section at the bottom here is, it does feel plasticky, but I'm not sure if it's a different metal surface here, but I can see some paint removing there, so maybe it is a metal, but it feels a different metal than the main part of the slide. You can see obviously the different colour scheme there. But yeah, I mean, reasonably good quality wise. I mean, it obviously takes a bit of obviously using it to actually find out just how good they are. I mean, my A1, I must have shot several hundred shots on that, and typically when I use my target shooting, I will go for the double action, so I won't actually run a CO2, so I won't have the slide reciprocation. Just the hammer action is enough to trigger the laser. But obviously at some occasions I do actually load a CO2 in there to obviously get the kind of blowback option, but I generally as a rule just go with the hammer for, because it makes it easier for me to sort of like run multiple shots without having to go through loads of CO2. But and as it's double action, obviously you can do that, whereas obviously at the Glock 17 you would need to run a CO2 for getting the slide reciprocation. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. So again, sort of like a pretty good build. Reasonably happy with obviously the way it looks at the moment. Just obviously need to see how it performs over time. Again, when you put this back in, you need to allow this metal rod to kind of follow in the spring and then hold it in place. Rotate it so this lug can be just inserted back in, which you can see there. So it sits inside, if you can see that, but there's like a little recess and it just locks in place, and then she's all locked in. And then it's just a simple case of making sure the cam is still in that location, bringing the slide back, all the way back, and I think you should be able to rotate the cam and decock it, and there you go. And on the double action side of things, it's reasonably smooth on the trigger. So the trigger pull, and then she brakes at the end. Pretty clean. And obviously if you cock it first, you've got a little bit of play there, take up, well, it's quite a bit actually, but, and then you hit the wall, a bit more pull, and then she drops. Again, I use the double action for all my shots, so it's quite a lengthy pull, but then you do get the snap. There's quite a crisp break at the end there. So yeah, reasonably good trigger, very similar to the A1, don't have any problems with that. And again, the safety feature on this one is it's a little bit fiddly to engage. You kind of, it's like it's not quite there, but it is. You can pull it down. It takes a bit of effort to pull it down, but it then hides obviously the red dot shows it's safe. But initially, it kind of doesn't want to. I mean, the motor speed it needs to wear in. But yeah, it's overall pretty impressed with it. Quite like the feel. So what I'll do is I'll probably end up putting the laser on this one and run this for a bit and see how she goes. And yeah, so obviously I hope you guys found that interesting. And again, that's the Beretta M9A3 from Umarex. Thanks for watching.